please be present, and everything will be done decent in order and to your liking. Thank you now.
Thank you.
For our executive and her staff, and thank you for the president of this board. Thank you for this food. And our body is about to receive first nourishment. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Now, Jennifer, got your blessing for the new year.
I'm going to call the meeting to order and just remind everyone, apparently there was some audio problems, but now we have mics here. We're being videoed. Somebody's going to come to our meetings, these gentlemen, I'm guessing, and videotape all of our meetings and make sure we have good sound quality and all that so everybody can hear how it goes down. All right. Okay, let's do Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. It's behind you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please do.
Okay, can we get the roll call, please?
Attorney Jennifer Mawson.
Here.
Miss Jerry Booker.
Here.
Derek Cole is here. Miss Linda Gentry.
Here.
Councilwoman Donna Collins-Lewis.
Here.
Attorney Stephen Shelley. Representative C. Denise Marcel.
Present.
Miss Jessica Griffith.
Here.
Reverend Leo Cyrus. Reverend Earl Domain. Professor Dorothy Jackson.
Here.
Miss Pamela Ann Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. William Daniels.
It's supposed to be en route.
Reverend S.C. Dixon. Attorney Fritz Dugas.
All right. Any public? Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment? There being none, we'll move on. Okay. We need to certify the minutes. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know the information. On the 19th, 20th, and 21st of this month, I am helping to host a 3-day free clinic that will take place in North Baton Rouge.
Yes.
Free vision, dental, and medical on a first-come, first-served basis. There are no requirements, no insurance. We don't ask for any verification from anyone. It is, again, on a first-come, first-served basis. It's on the 19th and 20th from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. and the 21st from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. The location is downtown Baton Rouge Airport at the Mosquito Road Control new facility on Veterans Boulevard. So if anybody has need any more information, they can contact me 389-5165. And we have flyers that we're going to leave so that you can leave them with your seniors.
Okay.
And take your seniors.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, since you're gonna leave them to take to the senior centers, does that mean they get to come in first? Because you know how they are.
First come, first served. If you get there first, they will be first.
Okay. It starts at 8, they'll be there at 6. Okay, we need to certify the minutes of the meeting of October 20th, 2017.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Okay, we need to, and Tasha will talk to you a little bit about this too. Reverend Domingue has resigned.
No, Reverend.
I'm sorry,
Dixon.
Reverend Dixon has resigned. And so, Pastor Dixon has resigned. So we need to fill that at-large community board seat.
Yeah, can we hear from the Board Development Committee? They met about it.
That's true. Let's hear from the Board Development Committee.
Thank you. The board development committee met and we approved the recommendation and we have to send to the full board for Ms. Patricia Sims Williams to fill the at-large community board seat. Ms. Williams' bio is in your packet, but I'll read a little bit about it. Patricia Sims Williams is a 28-year-old, is 78 years old, and she's a lifelong resident of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She graduated from Southern University with a BS in education. She has been an educator of teaching, health educator for the Lee Park Referral Center, coordinator, director of the Baton Civil Cell Media Foundation for 21 years, and a juvenile officer with the city of Baton Rouge. She thrives in helping others and taking leadership roles of any kind whenever asked. She is a member of New Home Family Worship Center and serves as a deaconess. She currently attends the Leo S. Butler Center for the Council on Aging, where she serves as vice chairperson of the Senior Advisory Board for the East Baton Rouge Parish Council on Aging. She assisted in coordinating the efforts of collecting impacted items for Hurricane Harvey relief. And she advocated for the council, submitted an article to the advocate rebuttal to tax monies being allocated to the council on Aging versus Credit. She uses her speaking abilities by welcoming guests to the Council on Aging's conference town meetings and by participating in many radiothons to enhance donations to Hurricane Harvey. We present to the board for consideration Ms. Patricia Sims Williams.
Any discussion? Questions? And she's already the vice chairperson of the senior advisory board, so she kind of knows the deal and what's going on. So,
Yes.
second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? All right. We'll welcome Ms. Williams next time. Okay, next on the agenda is the acceptance of the EBRCOA food service vendor. We had an extensive meeting on this the other day. Christelle was there with us, but Anita's is standing in for Christelle because Christelle had a little bit of a scheduling conflict, and Anita's also from SSA. But we met for a while the other day, and I know I went through all of that information that was provided to us. We only had 2 bids, but I'm sure Anita's going to give us some more details about how everything went down.
Am I okay if I stay in here? Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay, great. So I'm here on behalf of Christelle Slaughter, who worked with the Council on Aging. She unfortunately had a scheduling conflict and could not be here today. SSA worked with the Council on Aging to create some policy and procedures manuals to create this RFP to make sure that it was in compliance with all the guidelines, both federal, state, and local. It was approved by GOA. It was publicly advertised. They did host a mandatory pre-bid meeting where they had several vendors attend. The bids were received at the Florida Center, both in hard copy and digital copy. You did have 2 vendors that submitted in total. The committee reviewed. The committee was made up of 6 people. That it was Christelle from the consulting staff, some members of the board, some members of the staff. They reviewed it through an evaluation sheet and do make a recommendation for merchants to receive your contract.
Right.
Any questions? I did the best of my ability to answer those.
I mean, we looked at everything. I don't know if you want me to talk about that. We looked at everything, and mostly it came down to price and what was being offered. We just felt like we got extra services, and Ms. Booker can back me up on this, extra services through merchants that we weren't getting through Durrell. So that's how we came to that conclusion. Y'all have any questions for Ms. Booker and I were there? You want to talk about it?
I just want to move for acceptance of the committee's
Okay. We can't hear you. Say it louder.
I'd like to move for acceptance of the committee's report to these merchants that's out there.
All those in favor?
He's second.
Yeah.
Pastor Cyrus second.
Pastor Cyrus second.
Y'all speak up so the microphones can hear you guys.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Then we accept merchants as our food vendor. Thank you. All right. GOEA has requested changes for their bylaws. You might
Yes.
speak on that.
Okay. After you all voted on the bylaws at the last bylaws meeting, the last time we presented the bylaws, they went to the Governor's Office of Elderly Affairs, and they saw some minor tweaks and changes that needed to be made some corrections and additions that are required. I mailed them all to you all. You should have all the requirements. They're in bubbles, the changes. Do I have a copy? In here?
Oh, here's my proposed bylaws.
Yeah. So if you don't have any, Madam Chair, if there's nothing that you all see that shouldn't be changed, and since I gave it to you all, most of it is, some of it's grammatical, and some of it is just a change in terminology. They want to add the word membership in Article 3. Add the membership in the COA shall be open without restriction. That's a new clause. Some of these changes came to them from the legislative auditor after they had their audit, and so we're tweaking this. Add an annual report shall be prepared. They wanted 2 weeks prior to the annual meeting instead of 30 days, which is good for us. Add the word annual or general membership on Section 3. Add the word and dismissal on Section 2 under board responsibilities. Let's see. I'll get the page again. On page 6, add section for notice of removal, and then we're going to add section for process of removal. We're just adding in the word notice and process. On page 7, add here that the term of the office for each officer shall be 1 year. Officers may serve no more than 2 consecutive terms. So most of this is the same. Just switched it to match the others.
It's not really substantive.
It's not substantive. So if you have any questions. Yeah.
So the changes that they made were technical in nature?
Technical in nature, yes.
I move that we accept those.
Yes, you have a question?
I have a question, yeah. So will we need to have a committee meeting to?
No, they said we can present it, because you already made the substantive changes. We can present this at today's meeting, and the only thing they need is the changes done in the resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
And we didn't do that. We didn't read the resolution for the food
Okay.
vendor, so we got to go back and do that, but let's
Yes.
do this one.
Okay.
Okay, and do you have the resolution for the board to adopt? We'll go back to food services because I mixed that up. We'll get this out of our way, and then we'll go back to food services.
Governor's Office of Elderly Affairs changes.
Speak
Yes.
up. Okay. Yeah.
Board resolution to adopt this instrument, Governor's Office of Elderly Affairs changes to the EBRCOA bylaws. On the 5th day of January 2018, at a meeting of the Board of Directors of the East Baton Rouge Council on Aging Incorporated, a corporation held in the city of Baton Rouge, state of Louisiana, with a quorum of the directors present, the following business was conducted. It was duly moved and seconded that the following resolution be adopted. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the above-named corporation does hereby acknowledge and accept the changes of the Governor's Office of Elderly Affairs to the EBRCOA bylaws. Effective the 5th day of January 2017, the above resolution was passed by a majority of those present and voted in accordance with the bylaws and articles of incorporation. I certify that the above and foregoing constitutes a true and correct copy of a part of the minutes of a meeting of the Board of Directors held on the 5th day of January 2018.
And I didn't get, do we move in second? You moved.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay.
It says, yeah, he says 17 will change at the 18.
Yeah, we need to
go back to that.
We're circling back. Okay, so resolution is accepted. And then, pardon me, but I forgot to go through the board resolution to adopt the food service vendor bid contract. And I know we already moved and seconded and approved that. So can you please read that resolution?
Board resolution to adopt the instrument acceptance of amended budget on the 5th. Nope, it's not the right one, excuse me. Board resolution to adopt the document food service vendor bid contract on the 5th day of January 2018 at a meeting of the Board of Directors of the East Baton Rouge Parish Council on Aging Incorporated, a corporation held in the city of Baton Rouge, state of Louisiana, with a quorum of the directors present. The following business was conducted. It was duly moved and seconded that the following resolution be adopted. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the above-named corporation does hereby acknowledge and accept the food service vendor bid RFP from Merchants Food Service, effective the 8th day of January 2017 to January 18
yeah.
to June 30th, 2019.
19, right.
The above resolution was passed by a majority of those present and in voting in accordance with the bylaws and articles of the corporation. I certify that the above and foregoing constitutes a true and correct copy of a part of the minutes of a meeting of the Board of Directors held on the 5th day of January 2018. So I'm not going to get the copy of it, just need to correct it.
You can just.
All right. Okay, Finance Committee report. La Champagne is here to talk to us about that report.
Ms. Pratt, you want to report from Glenda first or from LA Champagne? We do.
We do. I'm gonna have y'all talk about the budget revisions. Or actually, I'm gonna have her talk about the budget revisions.
Okay, that's me. Okay.
But we'll have you do your report first.
Yeah, you can come up here.
You come up here.
You gotta make the amendment first. You gotta make the amendment to add them to the agenda. Or you want Glenda to report first?
Oh, okay. I forgot about that. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm under the weather and not.
Jennifer's not feeling it.
Okay, so we need to amend the meeting agenda to add LA Champagne to give their report. And so can I hear a motion for that?
Second.
Okay. All right. Favor? Against? Okay.
All right, now.
Okay, now we're good. My name is Kim Sanders. I'm a partner with LA Champagne and Company. We've done the audit now for 4 years, maybe. I'd like to start off saying that it is a pleasure to work with the staff at EBR. Jonathan Clark here works very closely. He is a supervisor with our firm and he works very closely with the staff, and they do a good job of assisting us and providing correct and good documentation for us, and it is really a pleasure to work with them. So you should have the reports in front of you. You actually have 2 reports this year. We're going to start with the thick packet.
Okay.
And I'm going to start with the auditor's report, which is actually the letter that's right after the table of contents on the thick packet.
Drew's got them.
Okay, we're passing those around.
We wanted you all to have room to eat. Give me thick anything.
Each year we buy a little more stock in the paper companies. Grow and grow.
She has them already. So everybody should have 2. You should have 2 reports now. Okay.
Okay. All right. So again, we're going to look at the thick packet first, and we're going to look at the independent auditor's report, which is right after the table of contents. In that report, actually on page 2 of that letter, what we like to point out is our opinion. The whole purpose of doing an audit is so that we can issue an opinion, and our opinion is a unqualified, clean opinion, or unmodified, clean opinion. So that's very good for the Council on Aging. So congratulations on that again. I'm just going to highlight a couple of positives, and I want to look at page 14. On page 14, this report is going to state your net income for the council for this year. It's 50. As we look, it's going to be on the right-hand column, down towards the bottom, and it was $50,300 for the year. Last year, that number was $65,000. So you're still in a positive net income. So we're doing good in that respect. We like to highlight that. I'm not going to go into too much detail. We went through some of this with the finance committee. I'm going to point you to the smaller report at this time. This is a new report this year. This is what we consider an agreed upon procedures report, and this is put to us by the legislative auditor, where they say we have to do these 33 agreed upon procedures, and this is the report on those. This is not specific to the Council on Aging. This is statewide for anyone who is a governmental agency that has to report to the state of Louisiana. They all have to agree to these agreed upon procedures also. So this is not for you directly. What it is I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to give you a little history about it. There are 33 procedures, and it's basically policy and procedure type issues. If you have certain policies in place and things like that. There were a couple of things I think we ran across that are now put in place. There's some more on your agenda, but the Council on Aging has engaged a CPA, another CPA, an outside CPA, to come in and help them be compliant with these. We knew these were coming down last year, so they went ahead and got somebody to come in and help them to become compliant with that, and they've done a good job of doing that. And a couple of things that we noticed, they've corrected that, made policies going forward that these should not be an issue in the future. There's nothing we do with these agreed upon procedures at this time. They're just part of the report, and they're sent to the legislative auditor. So you can read through those. That's really all I have as a high-level review for the board. If there are any questions.
Any questions?
You might want to point out the way that to read this, if they don't understand what it is.
On the agreed upon procedures, that's going to be small. Let's see. If you look at it, what it is this says written policies and procedures here, and it says number 1, and it tells you what to obtain, and it tells you, what you're looking for in those.
And then the words in italics are your findings, is that correct?
Right, yeah, the word italics is our response to that agreed upon procedure. So the legislative auditor tells us to, like on page 2, under Board and Finance Committee, item 2, obtain and review the board committee minutes for the fiscal period and report whether the managing board met with a quorum at least monthly, frequently, in accordance with the boards. And then we put our response in italics there, whether you met those requirements, didn't meet those requirements. So you can read through that, and everything in italics is going to be what we found. Is that clear? Good.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay.
And I just want to add, because I don't know if she's going to do it. But this year, normally, last year we had like $17,000-$18,000 added to our deficit. This year we're at $2,000, so we're going backwards. So next year we should be positive.
Next year we should be in really good shape.
Yes, sir.
So we've done good. Yes, sir.
I have a question on page 3, on C.
Your agreed upon procedures.
Yes, what does that mean? C.
On the top of the page, report whether the minutes referenced or included non-budgetary financial information. For example, approval of contracts and disbursement for at least one meeting period during a fiscal year. There were no non-budget financial issues during the year. Everything that you addressed was already included in your budget. Jonathan, you want to add anything?
That included, and also what we're looking for is some discussion during the board meeting that dealt with maybe a contract or something where the board was discussing entering into a contract, which would be a non-budget but a financial item. So
is that, so if we have one, is that good, or if we don't have one, is that good?
And that's where these things are a little tricky, because it's not so much good or bad. They wanted to know if this took place at least one time, one meeting. So,
what if it happened twice? Would that be better or worse for us?
I don't know.
They don't know yet. They don't know yet.
All this is new, Mr. Daniels.
Right now, what we interpret from the legislative auditors is that they are just gathering information at this point regarding these procedures. We foresee in the future that they will then want further information, or maybe it becomes a finding at some point if you were outside their scope.
But they haven't told us what the scope is yet.
Right. We don't, at this point, it's really, we think, just data information for the legislative auditor.
A lot of it is pretty vague.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It is.
Anybody else?
We can accept it
All right. Do we need to accept this? Okay.
and do the resolution.
But the resolution's for the amended budget. Right. And we haven't gone over it with this.
You're right.
Okay.
I'm
trying to keep up. I'm off today. So do we need to approve this?
Yes.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the, how do they style it? the independent auditor's report.
Are we approving it or accepting it?
Accepting it.
Accepting it.
She's not feeling well today.
I'm sorry. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're accepting the independent auditor's report. Now we're gonna back up again, because I skipped it, and we're gonna go to Ms. Pratt for the budget revisions.
Glenda,
Glenda.
for a committee report.
I'm sorry, what?
Finance, you want to make a report from the finance committee?
Ms. Pratt? There's a revision for the budget and Ms. Pratt wrote that with you, and then there is a final budget proposal.
Now, in your packet, you should have something that says finance report attachments. We would do, according to the agenda, we would do the budget revisions first. And that's page 1 and 2. You have a packet within that packet? Yes. They're stapled together, 6 pages. Number 1 through 6? Yeah. Pages 1 and 2 are the revisions. And the budget we're revising is the city budget, the millage budget. Back in June, when we were doing the CEA, we had to give the city a budget, to include in their overall budget. So we did a budget. Well, now we've had an opportunity to go back and review, to make more detailed plans as to how we're going to roll out our services. And also, our board met in October, and that's where you approved positions, that we were going to have for the council. So included in these revisions are those positions that were approved and any other program changes that we feel we need to make in order to roll these programs out this month. The first page 1, the center column are the proposed amendments. And I'm not going to go through each one of them. I'll highlight a couple of them. And as I said, because of the board meeting in October where the positions were approved, a decision was made that our homemaker services we would not roll out this year along with the other programs.
To the end of the year.
Huh?
Closer to the end of the year.
Yeah, closer to the end of this calendar year, we'll roll our homemaker services out. And there were several positions in the accounting department we did not fill. We thought that after we did our job fair and the people that we were able to find were well-rounded people and they had expertise in some of the other areas that we need. So we're going to see if they can fulfill those positions. So those will be filled on an as-needed basis. We did fulfill 3 of the 5 positions we were looking for. We filled those positions, but the other 2 are still on an as-needed basis. One other addition we made to the change to the budget, dues and memberships. I added $15,000 to that line item. In the past, we had not been able to afford to have memberships in a lot of our national organizations like the Meals on Wheels, Association on Aging, and National Council on Aging, National Meals on Wheels, organizations like that. We've not been able to be members because we couldn't afford it. Well, we thought that if we were members now, it will allow us an opportunity to apply for a bunch of grants that they offer, but that they only offer to their membership. So we thought we would join those organizations so we could apply for those memberships and could get a lot of online training at reduced or no cost. So we decided to do that. You see on the building rental line, there's we reduced that by $18,000. That's a net result of us not including the rent for the new building, 1701 Main, because according to our latest meeting with the planning people there, that building will be available 280 days from the day of construction, and we're not there yet. So we thinking that it won't happen this year. So I removed that money from that line item. But we also had to pick up the rent for Baker, Zachary, and Central, okay, in that line item. We're going to get an additional copy machine, that's the equipment rental. Just by the number of people that we've added and care managers that we've added in the Baton Rouge office and other support staff, we need another copier. We're now going to have to do pest control at all of these sites that we're having to maintain, which were the 3 that we presently have, plus Central, Baker, and Zachary. We're also looking into HR services. We're also looking into onboarding with our payroll. We already outsource our payroll to the extent that Paychecks actually does our tax pay for us and stuff like that. But we also want to go with what they call onboarding so that our staff will be able to go online, and if they want to get a copy of their check stub or make any changes to their personal payroll account, they can do that. So we're looking into that. We have a meeting scheduled with them coming up. And what we did on the operating supplies, we changed, we reclassed a lot of our services. Material aid, we took $50,000 from that line item and we added it to emergency assistance line item. Because we feel that as far as emergency assistance, we ran into an incident this past week with the cold weather where we needed money to assist a senior housing complex. We didn't have the finances available, but were able to get the resources. So we shifted some money around there. But overall, I'm not going to go through each line item. I included our debt service line because we had a $200,000, you notice in your audit report, we had a $200,000 line of credit with the bank that we've had for a couple of years, renewing and going on. And we're going to pay that line off. And we also, Whitney Bank is our bank. Whitney Bank also gave us our $300,000 bridge loan that we got in late December. So we'll be making payments on that bridge loan as well during this year. So that debt service line is added.
Tell them what it was.
Oh, the bridge loan, what we did, we got the loan from Whitney Bank so that we could hire our care managers, get them in place so they can do assessments on our clients, on our people that's on waiting lists, do those assessments, and also we can get our vans and stuff that we need to purchase so that whenever we start rolling out, get all the necessary stuff like the new boxes, everything we need, get the meals going and everything, we'll be ready to actually start serving our clients at that point. So, yeah. And because we reduced the amount in the kitchen, line item for the kitchen, because since we're not going to be moving to the new building soon, a lot of the equipment, even if we purchased it, we don't have anywhere to put it in the office we're in, so we're delaying purchasing that. And everything that's attached to this is just support. The pages 3 and 4 is the actual revised budget. And then when I'm speaking of budget, as I said today, I'm only speaking of the city funds. And pages 5 and 6 is our combined budget, which includes the revised city fund plus our general budget, which brings us to a total budget for the agency operating budget. And that figure is $10,082,684.
I was going to point out one or two things. Ms. Pratt, you talked about the memberships for the professional aging organizations, and we've added some money to that. But I'm not sure you said it, and I could have missed it. But by becoming members of those organizations, it opens us up to getting additional grants and to getting additional training at a discount. She did say, okay. So I just wanted to make sure. And I know, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing on the bridge loan, besides the vans and the other stuff you talked about, that also is helping us hire up on kitchen staff.
Yes.
So that we can get ready to roll out the extra Meals on Wheels that we'll be doing this year.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you just look at between the program salaries and the administrative salaries, we adjusted about $250,000 that we're going to put into programs for the seniors. We have so many seniors calling now especially during the cold, for services and for emergency help, and so it's important that we make sure that we are able to take care of them and get the meals out. It's our intention to start rolling out the new Meals on Wheels, meals from 5 days to 7 days, as well as the 530 to 600 brand new seniors that we never served before the end of this month. And so that's why we're shuffling and hustling. Yep.
Do y'all have any questions for Ms. Pratt?
I don't have a question. I do want to thank Ms. Pratt for all her hard work. She's always accessible. She always answers all the questions that I have for her. and she goes beyond Call of Duty. I know that a lot of nights y'all stay there very, very late. I've seen it. I stopped by, and you know, it takes real commitment to do that. And I really and truly appreciate not only your hard work, the staff, the Council on Aging staff. I've seen y'all do it, and as y'all get ready for this, and the money's not there. A lot of people will walk out and say, well, you're not paying me for all of this. But I really commend you guys on the work and the effort that you put in for the Council on Aging. I just want to say my hat's off to you, Ms. Pratt.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm really glad you accept her
Budget revision.
Second.
I'm second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. So now we can read the resolution. Back on track.
Board resolution to adopt the instrument acceptance of amended budget on the 5th day of January of 2018 at a meeting of the Board of Directors of the East Baton Rouge Parish Council on Aging Incorporated, a corporation held in the city of Baton Rouge, state of Louisiana, with a quorum of directors present. The following business was conducted. It was duly moved and seconded that the following resolution be adopted. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the above named corporation does hereby acknowledge and accept the amendment up to the year one budget for the millage tax in the amount of $7.8 million. The above resolution was passed by a majority of those present and voting in accordance with the bylaws and articles of incorporation. I hereby certify that the above and foregoing constitutes a true and correct copy of a part of the minutes of a meeting of the Board of Directors held on the 5th day of January 2018.
Thank you. All right. Resolution. The additional financial policies.
Yes, the CPA mentioned that there were two policies when they got ready to do the AUPs that were not included in our accounting policies and procedures. And the same CPA that we hired to do that did write those policies, and included in your packet, you have a vendor setup policy. Our policy did not have stated explicitly who would vet our vendors when we got them to see if they were legitimate businesses before we started doing business with them. That was not included in our accounting manual, so this vendor setup policy will cover that. And the other thing, we want to talk to him about the debt service policy. He remembers it, but he did not include it because he said he thought it related to bonds, and we were not dealing with bonds and stuff like that. So, but he did do a debt service policy for us to satisfy the AUP request from the legislative audit. So these are the two policies we would like approval on so that we can incorporate it into our accounting policies and procedures.
Second. In favor? Opposed? All right.
And the last thing is our paid holidays for 2018. The board approves these every year. And it's just a listing of the 12 paid holidays that the agency will be recognizing this year.
Motion to accept? All right.
Yes.
All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Next item would be G. You want me to talk about it? So, we noticed that next to our new building, that the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority had a building, a two-story building, a two-story building right next door.
3 lots.
And attached to that, there are 3 lots
In between ours.
in between our new building and their building. The way it looks right now, we're not sure if we actually staff up to full capacity that everyone will fit in the new building. So the idea was that maybe we buy the, what did they go by? AKA, I wasn't a sorority girl. Maybe we buy the AKA building and put administration in there and everybody who's working directly with seniors on a day-to-day basis in the building that we're going to be in. This would give us some ownership of a piece of property. It's super convenient. It would connect those 3 lots to land we're already going to be on so we can expand our parking. And basically, we would own or have access to the entire block right there. It's close enough to our building to where if something comes up and, you know, Trudy needs to run to the senior center, she can do that in 10 steps. We talked a little bit to the architecture firm who talked about they could put a breezeway just so you would be covered by the rain and connect the 2 buildings. So I thought it was a good idea. I think, you know, so far, everybody we've talked to have thought it was a good idea, but obviously we need to bring it to y'all and see what you think about it.
And where was it resolved for the place for the kitchen?
They put and when I get to my report, I'm going to talk to you. They put a kitchen in the new building, but and we lost some office space. But the kitchen and the dock is in the new building, and I have the drawings that I'm going to show you all this afternoon. I mean, it's when we get to my section. We haven't had any discussion with them because we wanted to ask your permission if the chairwoman and maybe a couple of you all, Ms. Gentry, of course, because she's a real estate expert, and another one of you all will open discussion with them. They did tell me that they're going to sell the building as is. It has some issues. I don't know what they are. We didn't get into that, but I said, well, I need to take it to the board and see if they want to talk. Once they figured out that the building was moving and saw the remediation coming in, they wanted to talk to us about maybe selling the building to us, because 3 of the lots are intertwined into ours. So when the city picked up the additional lots, the other 3 belong to them. So if they're there or not, the seniors are going to park on their lots, right? Because we have just a little bit of, we don't have enough parking. And I'll discuss that when I put the drawings up for you all about where we are with 1701 Main.
So I'll make a motion to
Discussion.
To open the discussion.
Okay. And her designees, yeah.
Okay, second.
Designate some people.
Should we?
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Gentry, would you be agreeable to working with us on that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And anybody else want to be a part of this discussion?
Denise said she wants to.
You will? Okay, great.
Anybody else?
Well,
Dorothy Johnson.
okay, awesome.
All right.
So we moved second. All those in favor? I'm trying to keep up to these. Opposed? All right, great. And then we'll hopefully have a report next time about what they say, and maybe we can get an appraisal and all that stuff going.
They're getting it.
They're getting
gonna
it?
do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll see what that appraisal says.
And with that, so I'm going to start my report. I'm going to stand up. I want to show you all the drawings. We met this morning with Coleman Partners. This is, and I hope you can see it. So down on the bottom is the rendering of the building. They're gonna make it look kind of modernistic. And they're gonna put some wood in some places. All this area right here it used to be the drive-through where the tellers were. All this is now our offices. We're gonna close that in and add some offices.
And are they going to add some windows?
No, they cost too much. And then the windows cost a lot. We do have it's like maybe 4 new windows in the new area in the front of the building. It's my understanding, won't be too many at the back of the building, but so this is what the building looks like. So let me go and we'll talk about we're talking about maybe purchasing the other building. I think it's on this side. And so in this area right here with this branches, it's really the AKA lots. And so we can pick up their lots and the senior can park closer to our own building. Okay? All right. What we had to do because of our staff and the new care managers and for space for people to come in from the field, we had to go to a cubicle system. So we don't have that many offices, which is great. We added some care managers and social workers, and they will share this area, which is 24 cubes. So this area right here is the new, is the offices for the employees. One concern that the the architect is having is senior seating. So currently, right now, there's only enough space for 128 seniors to sit at any given time. The problem with that is, on Florida Boulevard alone, on any given day, 150, 175. On Wednesdays, we're up to 200 seniors because Wednesday is Food Bank Day. And so he is going to, if you see where we have some writing, he's going to make some adjustments. So if we do get an opportunity to acquire the building next door, then some of this other space in this area can go to more senior activities. We have a sewing room, an arts and craft room, which the seniors have been begging for, a computer lab with charging and docking stations. We have, this will turn into an auditorium, so they can have meetings and do projects and drop some screens in there. We also have a card room that's in the back of the building. He says it's going to be sound, because they spent some days there just watching at our current building, watching the seniors enact. And so he put the card room at the back of the building, no windows, it's soundproof, because they're very loud, so we have a card room for the seniors. And we'll leave this out so you all can get an opportunity to see it. And he's going to get us some electronic drawings and some drawings that I can give to you all before he finalizes. This is just a temporary rendering that he gave me to share with you all. So you can look at it at the meeting you go. Okay? All right. Looks good, doesn't it? Whoa, watch it. Okay.
How large is the kitchen?
The kitchen, it doesn't have dimensions on it. It doesn't have dimensions, but he said it's relatively the same size as ours. They added a portion to the other side of the back of the building to add in the walk-in refrigerator and the freezer. So it's not in the original building. It's an add-on to the back of the building. And then he wanted me to let you all know the next steps will be the true schematic drawings, design development, and budgeting estimates. The building is estimated right now at about $3.1 million is the total cost of the building. Remediation, mold remediation, asbestos, all that's been removed. All the duct work is gone, all the HVAC, and so they are ready now to give us the drawing. He said the building is between 17,000 to 18,000 square feet. Right now at $110 per square foot is the cost. And so he is working to see how he can tweak some other things in the building. So that's where we are on the Main Street building. They will be meeting with us in the next 6 weeks to give us an actual drawing and where we can start actually crafting a budget that's more defined. Also on my report, I just wanted to give you some updates on our new staffing and programmatic enhancements. Any questions about Main Street? Okay. We've hired about 15 people so far, 3 in accounting. We've hired 2 social workers, 3 Meals on Wheels drivers, 1, 2, 3, it looks like it's 7 or 8 care managers. We have about 600 seniors that have to be assessed. There's a 15-page document that the state has us to use. It's called the Louisiana Independent Living Assessment Form. And even when you put a senior on the waiting list, even though they were assessed before, they have to be reassessed before they ever get the service. So for the next week and a half, our new care managers, they've been trained this week, they will be out assessing these 500 to 600 people in the course of a week and a half. It's a big undertaking. My current staff will be out there with them so we can get them assessed. And it's our intentions to roll out Meals on Wheels meals the last week in this month. The new Meals on Wheels meals plus the added Meals on Wheels additional meals that cover the weekend for all seniors that's on the Meals on Wheels program. Yes.
Do you have any mapping on the new people that were taken from the waiting list?
Do I know where they are?
Yes. Do you know?
Yes. So when our care managers and social workers go out to assess the seniors, we do it by zip code. And so, yes, I do. I can tell you where the bulk of them are, where they are, and I can say to you it's all over the parish. We have a heavy demand here lately in some of our rural areas of the parish, up past between Cheneyville and Port Hudson. We have been growing in the Jones Creek, Shenandoah area with requests and folks asking for Meals on Wheels. Now, where the other seniors are asking for things, I got a call yesterday. The seniors out on Highland Road, Highland at Airline, they want a senior center. I've got calls from the Kenilworth Association. They want a senior center, and they want to help. They're willing to put it in their, right there, get Breck to work with us to put it in that park area. They want a senior center. I have a petition I've been having for years from the folks in the Shenandoah, Jones Creek area. They want a senior center, so I've been getting more calls about senior centers. I have about 8 requests. Port Hudson wants a senior center. Everybody wants a senior center. So we are going to work on that strategically. I made some commitments when we started talking about the millage. So the first 4 senior centers will be one in the Gardea area, one in the Kenilworth area, one in the Jones Creek, Shenandoah area, and I think the 4th one was Port Hudson. With the Port Hudson, yes, those will be the. Yes, ma'am.
So that people see, because the tax money is in this year, where people are coming from.
Okay.
How many people have been on the wait list for how long?
Yes, ma'am.
Able to serve.
Right.
And then those people from around the parish that you tell us about.
Okay. Well, I can tell you for the Meals on Wheels waiting list, they've been on the list 5 years or longer.
That's people need to know.
They need to know that. And we will, with our new quarterly report that we'll be giving to the city for the Metro Council, all of that we'll have a programmatic report as well as a budget report. And so we'll give that out every quarter. Our new finance folks are working on that right now. Okay. And then also in my report, I wanted to give you an update on the 5790 Florida Boulevard building. With the snow and this weather, the building has been a major issue. Once the snow melted, so we leaked in every office on the second floor. The city came to look at the roof. They said it's about $150,000. The whole roof needs to be replaced. They don't know. DPW doesn't know if they're going to bring that because that's their area to fix. And what they said to me is they're not sure, and they don't know if they're going to
put $150,000 into the new building.
Right. They said they don't know if they're going to put that kind of money into that roof. We had on the snow day, the 3 blocks on Florida Boulevard were out without utilities for a day. And Mayor Bloom and her staff, they brought us out a generator and hooked up our building. Our building is so old, we didn't know how to take that kind of extra newness. And after the lights came back on, the whole downstairs imploded on itself. So the electrician has been there every day since then, fixing it. Everything, all the hall lights, all the lights in the senior center, they all blew out. So all our fixtures, because they're so old, they don't even make them anymore, they don't make the bulbs for them anymore. So they all had to be replaced. But we didn't lose our food because we had about $40,000 worth of food inventory on hand, and so them bringing out the generator allowed us to keep that. And the building just won't take a generator because we don't have heat. We haven't had heat for the last 2 weeks. Since it got cold, we hadn't had heat. The boiler is dead. So we share the plug-in heaters. You have to rotate them because you can't put too many because the building can't take too much draw. So we just, this for the last 3 weeks, we spent an exorbitant amount of money on making repairs to the electricity and repainting the walls, stain blocking, changing out tiles, and flooring.
It seems to me that it would be incumbent or popular for the city to put a rush on the new building. Because all we're doing is wasting money, putting money into that whole.
Right. Because they're gonna, it's my understanding, they're gonna turn it into a warehouse for books or something for the library.
Councilwoman, you know that the government doesn't rush.
We're wasting money also. Putting money, continuing money into that building. When we can push to make that building great.
We gotta go through the state, we gotta go through the bid, law.
Yeah.
I understand all that.
Yes, ma'am.
I just think that it's outrageous for you guys to be able to be freezing all day long.
It's freezing, I'm telling you.
And we're going to be using chemicals in the new building. Would it be a possibility to get those chemicals in advance of the new building and set them up here where you have heat so that y'all can administer from here and only use the first floor in this old building?
It's a good idea.
Set the office up there.
So the office is up here?
Right.
We can explore that. That's a good
That would
idea.
be something that would be a resource that you are going to buy eventually anyway.
Right.
But it's just outrageous for y'all to be in there.
We got a lease option, a purchase option.
As far as trying to run.
We have a purchase option for this
Staff is
building.
over there shaking their head in agreement.
Well, we
That's
have
the
this
people that's doing this.
Yeah.
Only issue is if we have this rented out for them,
Yeah.
you know?
The only problem is if you all have this rented out.
We do. We do have some events coming up, but yeah, we do have some events
So
ready.
can you use this, this is a large section right here.
Well, what we'll do is we'll get Dr. Gilmore. That's one of his new things he can work on, and we'll get that. We'll explore that and get back to you all and see how feasible that is. We don't, I'm apprehensive to spend our new money on anything administrative. I just want to get the stuff the seniors need to them, and I want to be seen doing that first. Well, we've been layering. I got a lot of clothes on under here, Councilwoman.
It's still cold.
It's still cold. They came to the meeting.
Hat, gloves, and I'm still cold.
So we'll get back to you all with that. So I just wanted to give you an update because we have been doing making some renovations to the current building, painting, flooring, because it all got ruined. And then we have new staff. That's why you're meeting here, and we will be meeting here because the new staff members are utilizing the boardroom. That's their offices, because we really don't have space for all the people that we need. So they'll be housed in the boardroom. So we'll be meeting here, or maybe some other senior centers for the next year until we move into our new building. And that's all I have. Yes.
Any updates on the raises that I asked about last week? Or is that something else you want to keep till later in the year? And I'm going to keep pushing.
I know you are.
It's about raises.
He wanted to know, did we give out any updates on giving out raises? We have not broached that conversation because we are focusing on our programs, and
Can you do both at the same time?
I don't think Dr. Cole in this first year that we'll do raises. But what I can say is, because we've restructured our agency and you all are doing a new org chart, we had some new positions to come open, and some of our current members got to move to those positions that are at a slightly better rate of pay. And so we had we are leaving some room so that our current staff can have some opportunity to grow and to move up in the org chart, and we're going to do that. I think we want to discuss actual raises for staff closer, when we get a closer idea what our true budget is going to look like. What I mean by how much is it actually going to cost with food changing, how much is it actually going to cost for me to feed the new folks? We have a goal, a budget that we put together, but we want to wait closer, maybe toward the end of the year.
And I hear this discussion all the time.
Yes.
And the cost of the electricity is going to go up. The cost of the food is going to go up. Everything is going to go up, but we always keep the employees at the same salary. And again, that's in every industry, but I don't think it's fair, and I'm not going to leave it alone.
Right.
So I'll bring it back up again on the next.
And I agree. I agree. I honestly agree. But as you know, we're working on this agency's perception and issues, and I would prefer if we can do that first and take care of the seniors first, and then work with the staff on getting their raises to them.
And I think that's really the appropriate thing to do because your public perception.
Yes. Right.
Okay, so again,
You would Dr. Cole?
but what time frame are you saying in a year, or are you saying 10 years?
No.
What I'm saying to you is, if you don't ever put it on the agenda, it's never going to move. If you don't ever start looking at the numbers and putting the numbers out there, there's some people who will never want to give a raise. If you've been doing it for 10 years at a low pay, keep doing it. I don't think it's fair.
Well, I'm not that.
One
I'm
of the
not.
other things that I know from being here on the board for some time is that
Yes.
most of the people sitting around here have taken cuts in
They
their
have.
pay since they've been employed in this agency. I don't think it is fair. We talk about when we were on the CATS board, bringing people up to a livable wage.
Yes, ma'am.
$15 an hour. I know half of our people, they probably only make more than $10 an hour.
Right.
And I'm not saying jump everybody up, but at some point, like we got the poll, we have to look at increasing the salary of our staff that have stayed here, that have stuck it out, and have worked from little or nothing to make this agency work. And so it would be unfair and unjust for us as a board not to look at that in some way in the very near future.
And if you all are, if you all are saying to me that's what you want me to do, I'm more than willing. You know,
I know staff took cuts in salary.
They did?
When I first got on the board, and people continued to give up their income
Yes.
to make it work, and when this budget didn't have any money to plug holes, they gave up money, and so I think that they need to be recompensated for things they had to give up. There's money, I'm not saying go out and do something exorbitant. People that have been here and stuck it out with this agency, they need to be compensated. We do it all across the board, anywhere else, and it should be no different for us here at the Council on Aging. Public perception will always be public perception.
And we need to put a timeline, like Dr. Cole said, 10 years, how many years? We need to put a timeline. If we say a year, then we need to do that, because I've been here, I've watched you have to take a loan out.
Yes.
And that's just not right.
Right.
Well, you know, we talked about this before. Dr. Cole is going to bring it up every meeting. What I would suggest that we do is perhaps put it on for discussion to talk about how we get the wages from other places, and let's start looking at it at our next board meeting. We start looking at it. What's the comparable wages, or either in 2 meetings. But what I'm saying is, we can't keep kicking the can down the road. I get it, and that's why I said what I said, because, you know, I come over to the Council on Aging in the evening times when they're there tonight.
Right.
And I get it. So,
Yes, ma'am.
and I know what your heart is telling you to do, to take care of the seniors, and we're going to do that, but not at the expense of them not being paid properly. And that's what you're hearing from the board, people that know what's been going on in here. So
can we do this?
Timeline.
Can we ask the personnel committee, because we have a committee that does that, to come together, and you all, can we ask, Madam Chair, can we ask the personnel committee to have a meeting and to discuss it, and Ms. Pratt can give you an amount of what it would take to come up to a livable wage for our staff, and then we can discuss, the personnel committee can make making a recommendation to the full board, and we can go from there.
Absolutely. I think that's because we're not going to hear the last of this.
I agree with you. I think the timing is not quite right. We've got to work on a public. I hadn't told you earlier, I wanted to say, I came to the fall hoedown.
Yes.
And I came to the Thanksgiving dinner. I was amazed. They were wonderful events. And having done events like that on a much smaller scale, you never have. You have no idea the detail, the planning. And what struck me even more was the enthusiasm of the staff as doing all this,
Right.
Thompson. And, so, yes, looking at the writing, what we looked at, things, the areas that there need to be adjustments, that's what I think we have to approach it. If you want to get a tax renewal when it comes up in the future, we have got to approach it very carefully, and we've got to work on improving the image. I have been attending the Center in Cincinnati. I have never found a welcoming group of lovely people. And it isn't a staff member. If there's someone that doesn't show up for a day or two that is normally there, and I go once or twice a week.
Yeah.
But somebody that's normally there every day,
They'll call.
one of those seniors themselves is checking up on why isn't that person there. I mean, there's been broken arms, there's been strokes, there's been people in the hospital with
Yeah.
flu, a lot of things that are of concern when people are 88 years old.
Right.
I've been amazed. If you actually get down, I want to go to some of the other centers. Get down on my calendar for this year.
Yes.
Get down, especially one that dances a lot.
Yeah. Line dancing.
But it's a whole different thing than what you think from the outside looking in.
Sure it is.
And, so anyway, I just want to compliment the staff. I think you guys are wonderful. And I do think we need to do it. Maybe a way to approach it is bonuses or incentives or something. A little bit in the beginning so we can get where we're comfortable with flat.
I think that's what she was saying.
And I think that's what we can discuss at a personnel committee meeting.
It's a gradual thing.
Like what kind of timeline we're looking at.
I'm still saying the personnel committee needs to come together to even have the discussion to see how we approach it and when we approach it. But we need to have a targeted time frame on when we're going to approach it. And I think that's fair to the staff members, like Donna has said, that is hung in there.
Yeah.
And so they need to have some kind of goal to look forward to while they're stand up in that freezing building at 7 and 8 o'clock at night. I mean, and they're already underpaid. I'm just saying, you just got to go and look at it. I mean, and I understand public perception, and I get that. But if you're delivering the services that you promised to deliver, and you're expanding those services as you promised that you would do, you're not cutting anything. Let's see how we can reward your staff. That's all I'm saying.
But that's still like, really, we're doing that. That's gonna be like 6-7 months down the line or so. Like he said, within a year, it's something to look forward to within a year. So we need to start now.
All right. Well, the board has spoken.
Okay. We should target the end of our fiscal year, June.
Well, we're running on both, so it's up to you all. We're running on fiscal for state and feds and calendar for cities. So June, the end of the fiscal year. Okay. I'm fine with that. Okay. So you want to ask the person that committee to meet. You won't take a motion. You got to do a motion.
Should we move for the personnel?
Yeah.
Okay. I need I'm looking for a motion to for the personnel committee to meet and at least start opening up the discussion at this point.
We need to add that item. Do we have to add that item to our agenda?
Yes.
Prior to that?
Yes, I think we do.
I think we do. Okay. I move to amend the agenda to add
Discuss.
a line item for us to discuss the personnel committee meeting about staff pay.
I'll make that motion.
And also, can we add to that we can maybe we can get the consultants to come and help us with that. They did the cities.
Well, at this point, we're just doing the motion so we can discuss it.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Because it's not an agenda item.
Okay.
And I
Gotcha.
don't want us to get in trouble.
Right.
Correct. Professor Jackson seconds the motion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Make this meeting easy, man. Okay.
Okay. Any other business? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?